Yo, man. What up, family? What's up, everybody? What up, world, man? We already know, man. Glory be to God, man. Pardon self, man, for, it's been a minute since I dropped my last video, y'all. Started trying to come back on out here and holler at y'all for a second, man. Just wanted to, just kind of give a rundown, man. Let you know where my thoughts at, where my head at, man. Like I say, like I always like to say, man, I love the views, man. I appreciate the subscribers, man. I really like to do this as, it's like a therapeutic session for me. I ain't too big on journaling, so this is kind of like an outlet, just to kind of deliver what's on my thoughts, man. Stuff I really don't talk to with everybody about, man. That's why I'm glad I got you guys, or I can talk to you guys about, where my head is at mentally, physically, spiritually, what's going on with me, plans for the future, where I'm at presently, and just thoughts and reflection on the past. Man, just looking back through this channel, man, just the first video I did, just starting the journey of recovery, man, and just looking at my growth, this is, like a catalog, like I said in the description, documentary, my life, my journey, just, what I'm going through, where I'm at, and just, the thoughts of me, so, haven't been dropping as many videos as I'd like to, or what I plan to in the future, but that'll come, where I'm at mentally right now, bro. I'm in a very, positive headspace, man. I really feel great, bro. It's a big difference from the first video and now, and just in multiple videos, man. Just in my emotions and my feelings, and and everything has leveled up. It's changed, and I definitely got to give praise to the Most High for that. The journey of sobriety. I definitely got to give credit to the Rooms of Recovery, y'all. Definitely, man, because also Jacksonville, Florida, man. I definitely can't, everybody that I met here, bro, is been, the love the people that showed me here, man. It's been next level, man. It's been healing, and it's been motivating. It's been inspirational. I've been here a little over a year now. Man, it's been over about a year and a half. I haven't been home, like I tell y'all, I'm from North Carolina, the reason I say where I'm from a lot of times is because when I watch these videos, I watch a lot of content creators, and a lot of them never really explain where they from, so I'm, me, I'm the type of person, I like to know where people are from, their environment, and, just kind of, their backgrounds a little bit. That's why I try to deliberately, infuse where I'm from and kind of let y'all know, just in case anybody's wondering, anybody want to network or reach out, or anybody has similarities, we can kind of bond through that. But definitely love Florida, man. It's beautiful here, man. But with that being said, man, I really haven't been doing much here, but focusing on my sobriety, working on my recovery, going to work, man, just, because when I left home, man, I just wasn't in the best headspace at all, and I definitely needed a break, man, and, I definitely have gotten that, man. I feel, a whole lot better, man, and, with that being said, man, I will be headed home, you guys, man. I will be headed back to North Carolina, you know, this weekend, man. I'm excited, you know. I'm excited to see my children. I'm excited to see my sister, my brother, my father, you know. It's a lot of people I can't, you know, I'm excited to see, man, and reconnect with, you know. Also, you know, just be home, man. You know, as beautiful as this place is, man, as beautiful as it is to get away, man, it's, you know, and you know, it's definitely bittersweet because I've met a lot of good people here, man, and I'm gonna miss Florida, y'all. I'm gonna miss Jacksonville. But, you know, but I miss home, bro. I miss my children, man, and like I say, man, I wasn't in the best headspace, you know, when I did leave, and that's why I did leave, you know, but I'm excited to give them an upgraded version of myself, you know, and I'm really excited about the things that I, you know, plan to embark on, you know, and you know, just taking a new aspect, and you know, it's nothing wrong with pressing the reset button, man. God told me one time, bro, you know what I mean, when I was going through what I was going through real bad, he's like, bro, you know what I'm saying, ain't nothing wrong with pressing that reset button, bro. Sometimes you gotta get away, bro, you know what I mean, and sometimes that setback is for the major comeback, bro. And I've always been the type of person to bounce back, you know, but you know, with the drug thing that I was going through and addiction, man, it was just never me, bro, and it was never my character, man. But you know, not making excuses, you know, I fully accepted my wrongs and my flaws and things that I did wrong, you know, in relationships, to myself, to others, you know, and you know, and and that's one thing that kept me in the cycle of addiction, just the shame and the guilt and you know, not really wanting to surrender and accept my responsibility in things, man. And I think this important, one of the key things that is important that I learned is, you know, you got to accept your part that you played in any role and in any situation, bro, to, you know, just to move forward. And I definitely think that I'm there, and I definitely believe that I'm ready, you know, to go back home and to be more productive, you know, father, or son, you know, a brother, you know, an uncle, you know, and, you know, just a key person in society as a whole, you know. I'm not too sure about what I'm gonna be doing as far as recovery, man. To be honest, man, I mean, you know, I love the rooms of recovery. You know, they definitely helped me out, man. But I mean, just in full transparency, y'all, I mean, I definitely connected, man. But you know, it's just like seeing the same people every day. You know, being amongst the people in their 70s, 80s. You know, everybody's much older than myself, or you know, what I mean. And it's just a repetitive same thing, man. And you know, I've been down for like, you know, I think I kind of started going downhill just mentally, you know, when my mother died. My mother died 2020, October 2020. And, you know, I just took it really rough, and I was just really in a state of depression, you know, and the police had kicked in my door, and I went to jail, and, you know, I ended up falling out with the woman that I was dating. So, you know, this thing with, you know, me and my brother had fell out, and I was just dealing with a whole bunch of emotions. A lot of me and my friends had fell out, and it was just a lot that I was dealing with, and it was real hard to navigate, bro. Honestly, man, and you know, so so I've been gone for about a year and a half. And I took a lot of time to myself. I took a lot of time to reflect, and you know, I've got more comfortable with being alone. I've accepted everything that's happening. I've forgiven, you know, everybody. So I hold no animosity towards anybody or anything, you know, 'cause I haven't been the perfect brother, boyfriend, son, anything. I mean, so I don't hold nothing against nobody. That's not to say that I care to even be dealing with anybody that calls me these, or not calls me, but, you know, played a part in you know, the way I was feeling. And that's not to say that I have any hate for anybody. That's I just go to say, I mean, it's not where I'm at mentally, and I'm just ready to move forward. I wish everyone the best. It's not to say that we couldn't have, a platonic relationship in the future, or I don't wish anyone the best, because I do. And but I'm just past that right now, bro. I just want to focus on myself, my children, rebranding, creating content, focusing on, this entrepreneurship goals I got, man. And when I say content, man, like I say, I mean, just want to let y'all know, man, I definitely plan to be restructuring the content that I bring you guys, man. It's, because, I'm on a deep level of thinking and understanding, bro. And, it's a lot of different topics I want to touch on versus, just sobriety and all that. Sobriety still will be a key factor. And, and I don't knock anybody who does what they do, and it's not to say, and I'm on here, full transparency. I don't know if I will ever, smoke weed again or drink again. I mean, full transparency, y'all. I mean, y'all drop it in the comments, because I have been wanting to just socialize and have a drink, bro. I want to be normal. I haven't. I got a little over 10 months clean, and, but yeah, dog, man, I definitely just been wanting to hang out, man. And not to say that that's all I want to do, because, that's not my thing. But do I miss socializing, having drinks with my nephew and my niece and them, and, with some of the guys, or, chicken dating? I want to be able to go out on a date and order food and have a drink, I do. And, I wouldn't mind one day smoking, burning a little blunt one, I miss those days, bro. And that's full transparency, man. And, but as far as all the hard drugs, no, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but, we never say never, and that's definitely not the plan. But, I think I got a lot of the mental issues that I was, trying to escape through heavy drug use, bro. I think I've, purged a lot of these issues, man, and I feel a whole lot better mentally. And that's not to say that I'm just jumping out to use drugs, but this is a place where I can be honest, where you can be honest and free of judgment, so I definitely want to share that with you guys. And, also, with the content, bro, it's a lot of other things that I want to talk about, not just recovery, because I'm a whole lot deeper, man. It's like I say, I'm big on the cryptids, bro. Like I tell y'all, man, I'm big on cryptids, conspiracy theories, man. I'm big on business and entrepreneurs, and moving forward, I'd like to be, just, because I got a lot of business ideas that I'd like to talk about, and I like you guys to share, what you guys are doing as far as your entrepreneurship, and even just if you're working hard, any area of, excellence, whether black, white, far from racist, anybody that is doing something phenomenal or just dropping good news, bro, I want to talk about it, There's a lot of people that I'd like to bring to the channel and sit down and interview, man. I love high-level conversations, bro, that's what I'm into, and I like to see stories of triumph, stories of overcome, man, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this on this channel or create a new one. I've been struggling to kind of figure out if I wanted to, drop this new content on this channel, because like I said, I do talk about a lot of personal issues on this channel, man. But I'm at the point where, if anybody has want to judge me for anything that I've done in the past, that's on them, You know, I've accepted my flaws, you know, and I've forgiven myself. So, I mean, people gonna judge you whether you up or down, you know, so, you know, it is what it is, man, but, you know, just trying to move forward, just trying to figure out what would be best, you know, because, you know, I'm into my spiritual journey, you know, definitely want to talk spiritual, you know, spirituality, you know, but, you know, just trying to figure out exactly how I want to deliver, you know, and I got to get in there, figure out how to video edit and edit these videos, you know, and just be more professionalized with the content that I am creating, y'all. You know, with just so many things, man. You know, I'd love some feedback on, you know, just better ways to go about this thing and what y'all think about just anything that you know, that we discuss. You know, I appreciate the people who do comment. I appreciate the people who do subscribe, man. So, you know, if y'all like me to keep this channel going, man, or just give it up, you know, whatever your opinion is, just appreciate it. And, you know, I love and I appreciate everybody who's been rocking with me, man. And if I can just reach one person, man, and be a form of inspiration, man, that's what I'm here for, you know. So, you know, moving forward, the content will always be motivational, will always be inspiring, you know, because, you know, that's what I'm about. You know, I'm about motivating the youth, you know, motivating my peers, motivating myself, and, you know, and I'm all about receiving motivation and inspiration. You know, I mean, like I said, I haven't been watching too much television, too much TV. Like I say, all I really do is watch, you know, content creators, man. Lately, I've been watching Elizabeth April, you know, remote viewer. And she's like amazing, man. I've been soaking up her information, man. So I like a wide range of things, y'all. You know, and I still watch guys like Philip Michael Anthony, or, you know, the Church 2819, the preacher. I mean, you know, I watch all kind of stuff. You know, I try not to get too deep in, you know, religion, but still keep my faith in God, my higher power, you know. And it's just so much that I'm trying to understand and unlock, and, you know, because, you know, a big concern is, where do we go when we die, when we, you know, afterlife, and, you know, how to live here while we on earth. And, you know, I think for the most part, you know, it's best to be a good person. You know, I mean, you know, good from bad, you know, right from wrong. But, you know, it's still like, you know, when you lose family members, it's like, where are they, you know, and, you know, where do I go when I die? And, you know, raising my children is like, you know, they starting to have questions about life and death, and I want to be able to deliver, you know, or at least point them in the right direction, you know, and, you know, that's what community is about. That's what conversation is for, you know. Your opinion is matter. I like other folks' opinion, you know, just like mine. You know, hopefully I say something that sparks something in you. Hopefully, you know, you can say something that sparks something in me. Trend Genius, I love to watch Trend Genius's content. You know, I was just watching T.I.'s Expeditiously content. You know, him and Damani was chopping it up. Club Shay Shay. Latoya Oki, I always speak about Latoya Oki. I love her content. Friendrika, I keep forgetting her name, but I watch her all the time. A little slim, little dark skinned, pretty little thing, man. Friendrika Freeman, I think is her name. I like her content. You know, so I like to get my dose of spirituality. You know, I like to watch my comedians, you know, Mojo Brooks, Country Wayne, you know, so I watch a variety of things, man. Divinely Guided Chosen Starseed. He does like tarot cards, man. Maji with the T. You know, I just watch all kind of stuff, bro. like I say, School of Hard Knocks, Myron Golden, David Sands, man, 19 Keys, I love 19 Keys, Yaki Awaken, Rashad Jamal, you know, and I'm just trying to figure out how can I splice all of this stuff and be able to speak on a multitude of topics and be universal with my content, you know, and not just be in a box, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I want to get to the level where I can bring people on and you know, have conversations and have dialogue. You know, is the goal with this, man. And, you know, just gathering information, you know, and distributing information, you know, and have content and conversations that people can learn and grow from, bro. You know what I mean? This is where I want to take this as far as moving forward, you know, and also with recovery. If you got stories of how you stay clean, how long you been clean, and if you're struggling with it, you know, addiction, you know, I mean, a place where you can be honest. I want to cover up, you know what I mean, all across the board, bro. You know, just trying to come up with a way to, you know, articulate all of these dialogues and conversations into one channel, you know what I mean, it is the goal, bro. You know what I mean, if anybody can give me their input on, you know, like I say, I would definitely appreciate that. You know, like I say, because I know a lot of people who have been successful in their entrepreneurship endeavors, bro, and a lot of people who came from nothing, man, and it's inspiring, bro, and, you know, and I just pray that that's, you know, the direction that my life can take, man. Cause don't nobody want to be in the streets forever. Don't nobody want to work a 9 to 5 forever, bro. Who want to, you know what I mean? Just trying to find another way out, y'all. You know, just trying to find another way out, bro. You know, that's where my head is at right now, man. Just trying to find a way to, you know, get this money home, bring it home to my children, man. Leave my kids something, bro, and take care of them, man. You know. You know, so that's where I'm at, man, and, you know, so I'm excited for the future. I remember it was a time I just didn't know, bro. I just, you know, was dreading the next day, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, I was just in that space, just like, man, I just, you know, and I'm just glad I overcame, bro. I'm just grateful to my higher power for, you know, walking with me, you know, through the dark times, man. I know he got something special for me. You know, got something special for y'all, too. You know, we just got to keep going, bro. You know what I mean? Another guy I like to watch is Jordan, the Chosen One, man. Chosen One's Ministries, man. I got to give him a shout-out because I love to watch his content, man. And, I mean, it's just so many people that I watch, bro. You know, so, you know, I love to get in the content creation space. And, you know, like I said, I watch the Dog Man encounters. I love watching the cryptid stuff. You know, Missing 411. You know, my Bigfoot sightings. You know what I'm saying? I love watching stuff like that, bro. You know what I mean? I want to be able to talk about all that too. You know what I mean? I like to interview people who's had sightings, you know what I mean? Because I freaking love that shit. You know what I mean? NDEs, I like to watch those near-death experience videos, man. It's just all kind of stuff that I'm into, man. I'm just wondering if everybody else is all interested in all that type of stuff, man. And, you know, like I said, I'm a music head. I like to watch street nigga shit too, bro. I still like to watch my Kingpin documentaries, man. I'm watching the BMF series now, you know what I'm saying? All of the power, everything 50 Cent doing with those power episodes and stuff, man. So, you know, it's just so much I just got to get down and really get a stronghold and really, you know, get a blueprint, so to speak, on just, you know, how I want to go about creating this content, man, because I'm really passionate about it, and it's, you know, it made me feel alive. It's, you know, it's just something I could do that, you know, wouldn't feel like work, you know what I mean? It's something that, you know, getting people on, like I'd love to interview Elizabeth April and 19 Keys and Yaki Awakened and, Mojo Brooks, you know what I mean? A lot of people in my hometown I can't wait to sit down and talk to. You know, David Sands, I love to meet David, man. And Donnie Higgins, man. You know, Myron Golden, you know, Derek Grace, man. I love Derek Grace, man. Respect that man so much as a father and everything he's doing. You know, man, it's just so many, you know what I mean, people moving in excellence right now, you know, and it's exciting to watch, man, and I love to be a part of it, man. You know, so with God's will, man, we'll see where this journey goes, man. And I definitely love coming out here talking to y'all, man. I'll definitely continue to make these videos. But like I'm just letting y'all know, man, how, you know, I just kind of want to switch lanes a little bit and, you know, just stay in a good space and, you know, just deliver good content, man, good news, man. I want it to be positive. I don't want to, you know, touch on negativity. You know, I want to, you know, man, make somebody's day brighter when we converse, man. Let somebody learn something, man. You know, yeah. You know, so with that being said, man, I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch and kick it with me, man. And, you know, growing with me, bro. And I just pray that we can continue to grow together, y'all. And, you know, if I said something that you can comment on, something that you can give me advice on, I would love your input. You know, I love your dialogue. You know, and I would love your opinion, whether negative or positive. You know, just a safe space. You know, like I say, man, if anybody ever wants to chat, bro, reach out, bro. Because, like I say, man, I love a conversation. I'm always down for a conversation, man. And I always need somebody to talk to, too. One of the main reasons I'm leaving, because, you know, I just really don't have nobody I can personally talk to. I just feel like I'm in my head talking to myself all of the time. And, you know, in any other conversations, it's either in the rooms of recovery or at work, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, this is all I've been doing for the past 3-4 years, you know what I mean? In and out of detox rooms, you know, just trying to get better. And I'm grateful. Don't get me wrong, and I'm grateful, but, you know, I think it's just time to move on, man, and, you know, get back into, you know, my life, you know, and, you know, go for more. And, you know, I definitely miss being around women, you know what I mean? I haven't really got to kick it with no women. I've been single for about 4 or 5 years now, y'all. You know, I haven't had sex in over 8 months, you know what I mean? Not that that's the most important thing in the world, but what kind of man don't want to have a woman in his presence? You know, even if it's just, you know, friendly conversation, you know what I mean? Or, you know, but, you know, I like to be able to, you know, chill out. You know what I mean? Have me a little woman, you know what I mean? Have me a nice friend by my side, you know? I think it's about that time, you know? When it happens, nothing I'm rushing, but I just feel like I haven't been able to get that here in the rooms of recovery. And I just kind of feel like, you know, if I would have, you know, started trying to date like that around here, I was hoping to find a woman in the rooms of recovery, but you know, out here in the world, most of the women just want to, you know, drink and smoke, and probably took me, you know, to a place that I wasn't trying to go down here, you know, and that's just where my head was at with it, you know, and I just ain't really with the chasing women. I really don't really know where to look to find a good woman, because I want, you know what I mean, a relationship, you know what I mean, I ain't just in the, you know what I mean, not to say I'm turning nothing down, you know what I mean, but I ain't chasing no woman. I really want, you know what I mean, you know, I'm getting up in age and I'm, you know, looking for a life partner, you know, somebody to spend the rest of my life with, bro, you know what I mean, so when it happens, I'll be glad, I'll be grateful, you know, and I just hope, you know, this next woman be my last, you know, somebody we can grow with and build with, man. You know, but there's no rush on that. Still trying to get my life together, man, because, you know, it ain't like everything's peaches and cream back home. You know, I still got to, find me a job. I do have me a job lined up. You know, I'm gonna get me a little room, rent me a room for the time being, and you know, hopefully soon get me a place for get my own apartment for me and my children, and you know, just go from there, man. Looking to get into some business ventures that I do have lined up, but like I say, that take money, you know, so I gotta go to work and save up some bread and just be responsible, man. And you know, I think I'm ready to do that now, man. And I'm excited to bring y'all along with me for the journey, man. And you know, we shall continue this process, man. I pray that we continue to grow and you know, build together, man. And you know, I'm really looking forward to it. So with that being said, man, peace and love, man. God be the glory, y'all. Peace.